Well, hello, this is Heather Bayer, and this is the Vacation Rental Success Podcast, but it's also the YouTube video. And this is really exciting that we're actually using YouTube as well. Do you remember that old Gary Larson cartoon that had the dog on a high wire? And I think the caption was, Fido knew this was Fido was an old dog and he knew this was a new trick. And I'm really feeling this myself at the moment. Anyhow, I want to bring in my guest today, who is Louise Brace from the Rental Tonic. And it's an absolute pleasure to have you with me today, Louise. And we are going to be talking about the power of a consistent brand. And this is the reason I wanted to do this was because I knew you're talking at Book Direct, the Book Direct Summit, which is going to be online, and we're going to have more information on that later. But I knew you were going to be talking there about power of storytelling. And I thought, let's have Louise on and we'll talk about power of storytelling. And then I went back to look at your website, Rental Tonic, and I caught the previous presentation that you'd done back in February on branding, and I thought, well, this would be a great introduction to you for the audience to learn more about you, because I don't want to give away all your power of storytelling stuff, because we want people to come to the summit and talk.
Absolutely.
So welcome. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much for inviting me, Heather. It's just so good to be talking to you today. And I know we talked years and years ago, so it's been quite a few years. So I'm super excited to be talking to you again today.
And you're talking to me from Spain, right?
I am talking to you from a very, very hot Malaga province, Costa del Sol. Yes.
I'm going to start that again, because I didn't.
Okay.
I've got this little thing that says record. Press the record button. I'm going to do that. I'm going to go, okay, here we go. I have with me today Louise Brace of the Rental Tonic. And she's joining me today to talk about branding. And as I just mentioned, you had done this presentation at the Book Direct. I can't remember what it was called. The Book Direct show in February in London. I think that was sort of cut a bit short, wasn't it? Because it was sort of on that date that everything locked down. Is that right?
It wasn't cut short. It was only a day conference, but it was literally on that moment when everything shut down. So I come from Spain to London to talk at the conference, and on my way back, everybody was starting to wear masks. So it was about 2 weeks after that everything went. Well, certainly here in Spain, everything went into lockdown. Yeah. So it was great that we got it in just beforehand.
Yeah, absolutely. So you just talked about Spain. Tell us a little bit about yourself, what you're doing in Spain with that English accent, and love to hear what it's like in Spain at the moment as well.
Yeah, it's I've been in Spain 18 years, so I'm a Londoner. I came to Spain for the experience, thought I would be here for a year, and I've been here ever since. So I've been here 18 years. It's an amazing place in the fact that it's, I have such a different life here that I would have had in London. I have the beach, and I have amazing weather. Andalusia, where I live, is just such an incredibly diverse region. I love it. I mean, I love going out and exploring. And I have a daughter who's 13 who is more Spanish than English. But when she can switch from language to language. When she speaks English, she speaks in a totally English accent. And obviously when she's Spanish, she's completely Spanish or Andaluz. Business here, I mean, obviously I live in a very popular tourist destination of the Costa del Sol. So we have just opened up on the 6th of July for tourists. So yeah, there's quite not as much obviously as there would normally be, but you still see a lot of tourists out here at the moment. So it's yeah, I mean it's good in some ways. I mean we're on compulsory mask wearing at the moment, so everybody's here in 40 degrees walking around Marbella in a mask.
Well, that's good. I mean, isn't it weird when you think that this is worldwide, that wherever
Yes,
you go in the world, you're going to see this. I just
it's
find that,
crazy.
yeah, it is completely crazy, and we don't know when we're going to see the end of it. But hey, we will roll with it. So
Exactly, we will and we are.
so tell me about your background in vacation rentals.
Okay, well, so I've been a marketeer for practically all my life. And when I came to Spain, I came as a communication director for a real estate network, like an MLS, like the US, and I guess in Canada is the same, where you're kind of on a network. And I was there for a year, and I realized that there was a need to have an advertising agency that was crossing language borders, really, between English businesses and Spanish businesses. So I set up my own company. And very early on, I found myself working with resorts, like holiday resorts here on the Costa del Sol. So I guess that's where that was probably about 15 years ago. That was where I first started working in tourism. And my first foray into like vacation rentals, I was blogging for a city break, a European city break portal. And from there, I became the one of the editors at SpainHoliday.com, which was SpainHoliday.com has existed before the Airbnbs and the HomeAways of this world. I mean, I think they've been around for around 20 years now. And they obviously, their niche is Spain. And this is when I spoke to you. I was writing for owners, so writing all about marketing tips for owners, and how to improve their marketing, how to improve their businesses. And from there, I just went on to Rental Tonic, so stepped away from the OTA and went direct to help owners get their book direct, their direct bookings. And I've
That,
been there ever since.
that's fantastic, and it's amazing to see this movement that really started very. I mean, because it's a full circle thing, isn't it? I started back 25 years ago. We didn't have any OTAs, so it was all book direct, and then it was
Yeah,
like so exciting that these OTAs came along and they gave us all these tools and brought us so much traffic, and then little by little they eroded our contact and they eroded our businesses, because our
yeah,
businesses are based on relationships,
exactly.
and once those relationships were gone, I think we're all sitting out there, for those of us particularly who've been in the business a long time, sitting out there raising our hands saying, well, where's it all gone? Where's the relationship and the connection that we have with our guests? But so we're dealing with a lot of us old, I don't want to say old people, the people who have been around a long time, and of course those who came into the business maybe after Airbnb and after Expedia, and that's all they've known. So
Yes.
I think it's down to us who knew what life was like before OTAs and how much better it was to be able to teach them to get back to
Exactly.
that foundation.
Exactly. And to share the history and, the story behind, where it started, and, how great, it can be again, as long as we have the right tools and practices in place.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is what was the Book Direct show was all about back in
Yeah.
February. Amy Highnote from VRM Intel has been promoting this for the past few years. We've had February the 7th, or I think the first Wednesday in February, which has always been the sort of the Book Direct day.
Oh,
But we
cool. I didn't
realized
know that.
well, that's what across the US, yes.
Uh-huh.
Um, but now, I think I spoke to Amy after that, and said, there's no day about it. It's got to be 365 days a year that we're promoting this, not just
Exactly.
a day.
Exactly.
So I want to move on to talking about your specialism, which is which is branding, because if you're just going to sit with an OTA and just post on Airbnb and Expedia, you really need do nothing else. You can just, I mean, you can have a fancy listing, and perhaps you can put your values and your voice in your listing, but that's all. But in the presentation you did in London in February, you were talking about a consistent brand and really permeating, developing your own brand and then permeating it across your entire landscape, I guess, of connection with the guests. Is that right?
Exactly. And I think it's quite important to mention here that I've never been actually a branding expert. When I spoke to Damien back last year about the show, and we discussed the different topics that I could talk about, and we discussed branding, and I said, okay, let's do branding, let's do it, because I mean what I'm doing is digital marketing, and what I'm really like is my core is the storytelling. So it's about developing the experience that an owner provides to a guest, and just making it wonderful, making it something really special and really resonating with the guests, the ideal guests, through your marketing. And when I looked at the process that I go through with a client when we're creating this this experience, it was really all about creating that brand story. It's just something I've never really called it that before. It was all about the experience and storytelling. But when I looked at it, and when I was speaking to Damon, I was like, well, yeah, what we're doing is we're creating a wonderful brand that people are going to resonate with, and that's memorable, and you're not just going to be stuck with all of the other listings on your Airbnb and your home away. So yeah, so
So what I so I'll put in the show notes and down below here on YouTube the link to your the blog post that you did,
okay,
and people can go and have a look at, because basically what we're going to talk about right now is just to sort of elaborating on that. So I'd like to start with asking you what is a brand value? You talk about brand values. What does that actually
yeah,
mean? Because I
okay.
think
So
you think of sort of the Nike symbol or the Microsoft symbol or the Apple symbol, but there's a lot
yeah.
more behind.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, a brand, also your brand value. So a brand really starts with, people think about it as the logo or your name, but actually your brand should be, the customer perception. So what people's perception is of you. And that all comes through, really the starting point are your values. Okay. So your values are a set of, I don't like to say rules, because that kind of brings it into a box, and they shouldn't be in a box. But your brand values are really what you stand for as a company, why you do what you do, not how you do what you do or what you do, because people aren't really interested in that. They don't care what tools you use. They don't care about the processes that you use. They want to know why you do what you do. And so when you think about your brand values, it's about why you're in business, why you love what you do. And it's kind of nailing about what really matters to your customer.
So in that presentation you did, you specified one particular brand that you loved, and you said, you're not going to look at VRBO or Airbnb. I'm going to look at this company called The Thinking Traveler.
Yeah.
What is it about them that embodies the whole idea of brand values?
Because, I mean, this is a company that, as we said, I mean, they have developed a brand where their clients come back to them again and again. I mean, this is a company that has started, they're just a couple, Rossella and Hugh. Rossella is from Italy, and their core destination was originally Italy, and they're now in the, I think it's you say the Ionian Islands of Greece. And they, they just had a passion for Italy, and they decided to start this company called The Thinking Traveller. And they started from scratch, and they have built up a business without the OTAs, and they have built it on core values. Okay, and those core values, which people will be able to see in great detail if they read the blog. But so they're only exceptional villas. So they say that they're defined by the quality of their villas and take on only a fraction of those that are offered to them. So all are available exclusively through them, because only then can they create the enduring partnerships that give the quality to their clients, okay, and that they have come to expect from them when they're booking through The Thinking Traveller. Always informed. So when they're helping a client, when they're helping a guest to choose the perfect villa and to plan the details of their holiday, they're supporting them from choosing through to the experience when they arrive. And going the extra mile. So they say that they're driven by the desire to deliver exceptional experiences, to exceed expectations, and they are proactive, and they understand that little things can mean a great deal. So these are what you would call as values, and your values should be both company-centric and client-centric. So they have to be important to you, but you have to understand then how to communicate those in a customer-centric way. So what's important to you, and make those what is important to the customer, to the guest.
So we could go over to their website, I guess, and actually see this embodied in their website.
I've lost you.
You lost me.
Can you hear me?
I've got you.
I've got you. Yeah, I've got you.
Oh, that's going to happen. It's my signal strength here in Ontario is a little bit dodgy at times, and you're in Spain, okay. So it's a long way.
And yet we complain about it. Why is this connection not working perfectly? Why do I not have crystal clear sound and connection?
The connection is pretty good. If it drops out occasionally, well, I'll just pick it up and just keep talking. So what I just said was, can we go to the Thinking Traveller's website and actually see that within their website?
Yes, you can.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, well, I'll make sure I put that on the show notes so we can go check that out.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. Actually, don't know. I'll tell you what you can see. If you go to the Thinking Traveller website, you can see their mission statement. Okay, so their values. So when you have values, you can condense those values into a mission statement. So their mission statement is taken from their values. So you can go and read their mission statement on the website. And so your claims, your values might then become your claims. So when you're on, for example, the homepage of a website of a vacation rental website, you might have your 3 claims, and that's when you've turned your values into guest-centric claims.
So when you say claims, what do you actually mean?
What your claims are, for example, they're your only exceptional villas. It depends. Everybody is unique. Everybody is individual. So thinking about your values and making them customer centric, they might become your claims. So what you can really say, which makes you special, which makes your business resonate, it's becoming the why okay. People should choose you.
Okay, so why do we need to know the why?
So say that again, sorry.
Why do we need to know the why?
Okay, so most of us are, when we're writing content or when we're talking or when we're presenting our businesses, we tend to talk about what we do and how we do it. And we're really good at explaining it. Okay, but most of our guests, they just don't care. Really, they really don't care. What they want to know is why. Okay, so they want to know why our business, what's the differentiator. So why why do we do what we do? Why do we love what we do? What differentiates us from the competition?
Okay, perfect. Well, you had a really great slide, and I'm just going to show it in a second, which was called the "so that" rules. So how
Yeah.
does that tie in? What does that actually mean? I'm just going to put this up now to
Yeah.
the "so."
Okay, so the "so that" rule is something that I've been using in writing content for vacation rentals for so many years, and it's something that I learned from an amazing copywriter, and it is all about turning round what you do into why it's important for your guest. Okay, so you think about what you do and how you do it, which is kind of the boring stuff, and then you decide on how that actually benefits your guests. So it becomes a "so that" in every message you deliver to the market. And you can see some examples, really simple examples here that kind of answers a customer question. So, we're always talking about that people really, now when you're writing content, you're writing content which answers a search inquiry. Well, this does that on a very basic format. It might be, we do all the work so that you can enjoy your holiday. We provide an insider's local guide so that you get to visit the best places in one weekend. We provide mattress toppers so that you'll get the best night's sleep. We provide baby and kids equipment for free so that you don't have to rent it or bring your own. So it's just a way of turning around what you do into what's important for the guests, so that they can immediately say, right, this company does this because I need that. And that's the "so that" rule. That's a really basic level. But when you can really take it up a notch, and you can really start to resonate with the guests when you take it up a notch.
So do you actually use, if you're in your content, in your copy, do you actually use both parts of that? We do this, so that, or is it,
Yeah.
or is it so that
Yeah.
bit just
I mean,
you actually
yeah,
use it?
yes, in some sections, you make it very simple, and this is why we do. Again, it's all about, this is why we do what we do, because we know that this is what you need. We're making it customer centric. But for example, if you take it up a notch, you don't have to say "so that" in every message that you do. But for example, an example that I can go through now, that we went through at the Book Direct conference, which I just love it. Which a client put together. So they're a really hands-on property management company, and they have this mission statement that it's using the "so that," but without using the word "so that." So they say, we provide luxury surroundings ideal for families and short-term visitors on business and leisure who simply want something more relaxed and akin to the atmosphere they have at home. Our secret is simply that we look after our guests very well. Whatever they ask for, if we can, we will. If we can, we will. It's just such a simple statement, but it's just taking the "so that" concept up a notch.
I love this because I immediately got to thinking some of the things that we do as a company. We're 70% of our properties accept pets.
Uh-huh.
So that the majority,
Exactly.
all our guests can bring that, can have their pets enjoy just the same sort of vacation as they do.
Exactly. And right now, with the whole concept of, domestic travel, certainly I can say here, domestic travel in Spain is massive anyway, because the Spanish tend to prefer to put their money into the country's economy. But as domestic travel grows bigger throughout the world, things like, pet friendly vacation rentals, to really kind of push that, and to take it into that customer centric, this is what we do because we know that you need to bring your furry friend, or your with you, then fantastic. Yeah.
Yes, I can see that applying. It really, it actually gets my thinking juices going. We're currently redoing our website for our property management company.
Uh-huh.
So this, I want to have our values permeate our brand, and go right the way across the website with different articles and posts and the content we put on there. And of course, one of the things, the big things for us is being pet friendly. It's also about, we want to share to share our countryside,
Yeah.
so that you can experience life outside the confines of the city and the confines of your condos, because that's where
Yes.
most people have been for the last 3 or 4 months, stuck in their
Exactly.
condos in the city. So this is great. It's got me thinking about the way I'm creating the content in a different way. So that's fantastic. So I'd like to see some examples of some people's, so how that rule works for them.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay. I just also, I mean, just thinking on that, was completely off the conversation there, but I have a client who has a villa collection in Spain, and we just put a series of emails together for owners, and one of them was like, hey, if you're not pet friendly now, you really should be, and this is what you need to do to make it pet friendly. And she was so surprised how many people were like, yeah, it's domestic travel is just on the up, and I want to be pet friendly now.
yes, yeah, big thing. I mean, huge in our part of the world, and with 70% of our properties are pet friendly. What that means for those owners who aren't is that they're only capturing a much smaller part of the market, because it's around 65% of our guests actually have a pet, so they actually
Mhm.
mix very well. But then you've just got the 30 odd percent that aren't pet friendly, and they can struggle a little sometimes. So
Yeah. Yeah.
that's a great new idea for me too.
Hope it
Um,
works.
thank you. Now, you talked in the presentation, you talked about the technical, functional, and emotional benefits
Mhm.
of consistent branding. So can you enlarge on that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, it's about also when you're kind of creating brand and you're starting to write your story, you need to think about what features your property or properties offer, and what are going to be the emotional benefits and what are going to be the functional benefits of your business to the to the guest. And so I was talking about a way that I often do this with clients, which is like really, really old school, but it's called a pyramid strategy. And it might be old school, but actually Google used it to develop their Google Play brand. So I guess it's old school, but it works.
Well, still with us, there's a lot of
Exactly.
centuries ago that's still with us. I suppose we could call that old school.
Exactly. So, first of all, I mean, there are just different things that you need to consider. So, first of all, you have your specialists, your features and attributes, and they're the specialist benefits that you offer. And essentially, they kind of help you to define what you do as a company. You're asking questions about yourself, such as how is our business benefiting our guest? How am I going to make money? And what are we offering? And then you go on to the functional benefits, and that's really talking about essentially what your customers get when they buy into your business. For example, I use my own functional benefits, which were when you work with Rental Tonic, you get a bespoke marketing remedy, which will help you to achieve from zero bookings to fully booked. Then you go on to your emotional benefits, and this is really where your brand starts to stand out from the crowd, where you really start to highlight how your brand makes your client feel based on your messaging and what you do for them. And so this is where your whys come into play. And then we have what's called the brand product persona. And this is a compilation of your values. So they're your personality traits, your attitudes in business, and when you showcase them, it helps you to connect with your ideal guests. So it's a bit like when you develop your ideal guest profile, but you're kind of turning it round on yourself. And then you have your brand idea, and this is really the essence of your brand. It's what drives your positioning in the market. So it's kind of like the reason why your customers will care about you, and it's condensing everything that you have learned from your pyramid and what you've learned from your brand values and from your that messages, and it's turning it really round into one short sentence. So for example, Apple's brand message is empowering people through technology. So we say it's your company's DNA.
So is this the tagline?
Well, it becomes your tagline. So things like, you just do it for Nike, think different for Apple, and then so those are your taglines.
Okay, well let's elaborate on that a bit, because I was really taken with the slide you did in your presentation. Which
the pink one.
Perfect tagline.
Yes.
Because that's something we'd like to do, with our cottage country experience. But it's a cottage country experience doesn't, it does sort of describe it, but it doesn't describe what the experience is. But of course, you've got to come down to this, what, 2 or 3
words
or sentences? I don't know.
Yeah.
I think you sort of edit the content down to 1 or 2 sentences, but maybe you edit it further. So where do you start on this graphic? Where do you
start from the top? Okay, so starting from the very top. Okay, so sharing your concept. Okay, so one of the best ways to create a tagline is really to share the concept, and to create a space for idea sharing. So whether that be with your team, whether it be with your family, friends, or your peer groups, or an agency, whatever, start to share with them what you feel about your company and get their feedback. And then heading over then to the right, so we're going clockwise, we are then looking at not being afraid to think outside of the box and actually away from the office, because sometimes our best ideas come when we're outside of the office, and we're not thinking actually about our businesses and our work. So walking away and just thinking a little bit creatively. The next tip is to start long and edit down. Okay, so communicating a clear message in just a few words is actually very difficult. I'm a copywriter. I hate cutting down anything. When I write something, I want everything to be included. But of course, I understand that's not possible. So one way I've actually found to come up with ideas and for taglines for my clients is to start long and edit down. So to begin with, we're writing exactly what our business delivers to our guests in as many words as it takes. So it could be a paragraph, it could be 2, it could be a novel, whatever it takes. And then remember after that to think about our emotional benefits, okay, not just the technical and functional ones, so the ones that are really going to resonate with our ideal guests, the whys, not just the hows and the whats. Next, we're going to take our paragraph, hopefully just a paragraph, and we're going to take what we've written down and edit it down to just 1 or 2 sentences. And then we repeat that process to make it 1 sentence or just a few words. And then the idea is to take that final piece of copy and just play with it. Think of some different versions, rewrite it, change out words, experiment with different lengths. And the whole process just helps you to distill all of your thoughts, everything you wanted to share about your business, and put it into 1 short, memorable tagline. And at the very end is basically one of the most important tips that I can give anybody, is to be clear and not clever. And the idea is that what you have at the end of that is your tagline, which is clarity of message, creativity of phrasing, and obviously the inclusion of your benefit. And voila, you should have your tagline.
That's fantastic. I love that. I'm going to go round that circle and
okay.
but just
you have
of examples, L'Oreal, because you're worth it.
Exactly. Yeah, well, you must share with me your findings and your final ideas.
Yeah, I absolutely will. Some other ones, my listeners in the US will know Dunkin' Donuts with America runs on Dunkin',
Mm-hmm.
which I dispute somehow. But McDonald's, I'm loving it. This is all these started probably with your multiple paragraphs and then distilled right down to the couple of words. So I think this is great. I'd love everybody to really think about this and think about how you can create, your own tagline. So, Louise, if I mean, give me the advice. Go on. I'm all
Yeah.
up for the free advice
Oh,
here.
you know what? I was just going to say, actually, when you were talking about all those taglines, one of the taglines that I used as an example in the show, which I absolutely love. I don't know this company. I haven't worked with them. I mean, I know them obviously, but they're not clients or anything. But when I was doing my research, I found a company called magicstay.com, and they are their business is all about accommodation for business travelers, and their tagline is "Rest well, work better." I mean,
Oh, yes.
what more? How can you improve on that tagline? It says exactly, you're going to have a great night's sleep and you're going to have a better day's work. Perfect.
Yes, I love that. I shall seek out some more. I think so. What would you advise somebody who is, considering perhaps rebranding or just getting into this, particularly just getting into direct booking, where they've got to really look at how they're delivering their message? Because, amongst other things, they've got to create trust, confidence. They've got to deliver that entire message that sends out to guests that I'm trustworthy. I'm going to deliver what I say I'm going to deliver. So how do they
Mhm.
go about starting this? What do you think their core tasks are?
Okay. Probably I'm going to just talk about two really cheesy cliche things here. But first of all, you really have to, if you want to have a brand, if you want to have a successful vacation rental brand, you really have to nail your ideal guest. I mean, I
Mm.
know some people, one amazing guy that you know very well, and I work with loads in the industry. He hates the ideal guest, but when I'm working with clients who are really starting up, and that they immediately are like, they're scared because they want to target like a mass audience, but you can't really build a successful brand unless you're McDonald's and you have like $50 trillion to spend on marketing. You can't really create an engaging and a successful brand if you don't know who you're talking to. So really nailing your ideal guest and not being scared not to attract everybody. Really to sort of work out who you want to be working with, who you want to stay in your accommodation, and then obviously, as we've discussed here, thinking about values, why you're doing what you're doing, why you love doing what you're doing. And I was about to say then that really, I can't stand the word really, but why you're passionate about what you do. But it is important to know, as a business, what's in your heart, why you want to be doing what you're doing and what you want to give to your guests. And then taking your business through the process that I've just talked about. So thinking about your values, thinking about how you can translate those into customer-centric values and your whys, why people are going to want to spend their money with you. And then starting to develop all of the story around your business. And ultimately, your brand is the identity of your business, and it's how it makes people feel. So once you've got all of those in place, you need to make sure that every single touch point where guests can connect with you delivers your values, delivers your whys, and so that your business is represented in the right way.
Oh,
And I think that's it.
that was great you said that, because because that ties into the presentation that I'm doing at Book Direct, which is
Fabulous.
which is called Dream There to Be There. That engaging at every single one of those touch points. But I can
Exactly.
definitely bring in some of that as well. So segueing into the Book Direct Summit,
Yes.
what are you going to be talking about there?
Okay, so I'm going to be taking the whole concept of the branding. So obviously I've just taken in February. I talked about the brand and how to develop your brand values and how your brand should be resonating with your guests. And now what I'm going to do is just dig deeper and talk about content. So how creating a great story will drive more direct bookings.
Oh, that's perfect. So the Book Direct Summit, of course, is on at the end of September, beginning of October. I shall put that into the show notes. Tickets are on sale. I am so excited about this because I've seen some of the topics, and I've been to. I've lost count of the amount of conferences I have been to, and many of them skirt around this topic, but this is the only one so far that really hones right in onto all the things that you can do, all the things that you need to do, and the how-tos of Book Direct. So I mean, this is not an expensive thing to do. Conferences.
Exactly.
I always consider, if I'm going to a conference, it's $2,000, whatever that is in euros, but 2,000 Canadian, US dollars, whatever, to actually get to the conference, to get on the aeroplane, to book your hotel room, the conference tickets. I mean, some of them are just well in excess of 3,000 at this time. But this is very inexpensive, and you can sit in your PJs and watch it.
I know. And I mean, exactly. So you can, it doesn't matter where you are in the world, and it doesn't matter what time it is, you can, get up and just, grab a coffee and pick and choose obviously because it's virtual this time around, you can pick and choose the presentations that you want to listen to. But as you said, I've had been sort of every week checking out, the new speakers that are coming on, and there are just so many super interesting presentations going on. I mean, even when we were just in February and it was just a day, I mean, I was just in awe of all of the information that was coming out. So this now with 2 days in your PJs if you want, what more? And I think that Damien's organizing some virtual networking, and so you can all bring your own bottle and chat with the industry.
Having organized my own conferences 3 times now, I know what it's like to do the in-person conference, but I see the work that's going on at the moment, Damien and Debbie and the other members of the team, to actually pull this together, and I'm really, really impressed. I wouldn't want to be doing it right now.
Yeah, I know, difficult time, but
I'm happy to turn up on the day and say, hi, this is me, and I'm talking about Dream There to Be There. And that's after my 40 minutes or so, I'm done.
Well, I'm going to go. I'm going to Barcelona. So because they're hot, it's being, that's the plan. At the moment, Barcelona, Catalonia is the one region that's actually gone back down into shutting off the borders. So we shall see what happens between now and the end of September. But it's going to be good. Wherever in the world you are, it's going to be good.
That's fantastic. Well, I wish you all the best for that. And I just want to thank you so much for joining me. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you again. I think it was about 6 years ago,
It was a while ago. I know, it was a while ago. And I was trying to think about the subject that we talked about, but I think it was about...
I might find that episode and put a link to it. But if it was one of the very early ones, I'm now on episode 300, and I think this one will be 348.
Yeah, wow.
That one,
it's been archived.
Yeah, it was down in the. I don't think it was. It was sort of 75 or something like that. Wasn't as practiced as I am now. But, it was still I remember it because it still had really good content value. So I will find it and stick it up there. So
Oh, thank you
you
so much, Heather.
enjoy your 40-degree temperatures with your mask on.
Yeah, it's a bit hot.
But I'd love
And
to stay in Barcelona. That would be really nice, but it is not to be. I was meant to be in Barcelona for the Kigo conference in March and had to cancel. So
next year we'll meet somewhere in the world,
that
face to
sounds
face in real life, not virtually.
yeah, that sounds absolutely perfect. So anyway, thank
Okay,
you.
thank you.
It's been great talking to you, and we shall meet sometime soon.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, that's it for today, folks. I'll wrap this up and get this up on YouTube. And don't forget, just go down below. You can check out the link to Louise's blog post. So that's a link to Rental Tonic. There's a link to the Book Direct Summit, and so everything's down there for you. So thanks very much for being with me today.